Raped at 8 years old and forced to marry at 11. That really happened to a Florida girl. Today, the state Senate, led by a Fort Myers lawmaker, passed a bill to make sure no child in Florida ever has to live that nightmare again.
Her parents did the unthinkable. They forced her to marry the man who impregnated her as a child.
The NBC2 investigators first exposed child brides last year with a young Lee County girl forced to get married by her parents to a much older man. NBC2 investigator Rachel Polansky breaks down the bill that unanimously passed today.
NBC2 first brought you inside the life of a 13-year-old girl last year who was forced to call a 25-year-old man her husband. Before this new law, children aged 16 and 17 could marry whoever they wanted, as long as they got parental consent. Perhaps even more disturbing, if the child was pregnant, there was no minimum age requirement to marry as long as a judge approved it.
It was just like I had to do it because they're my parents, and I was underage still.
Children, allowed to or sometimes even forced.
I wasn't old enough to say no.
To get married in Florida.
Do you think there are more young girls in the same position?
Yes.
In Southwest Florida?
Yes.
Our initial NBC2 investigation followed the case of Antonio Juarez, a 25-year-old undocumented immigrant from Guatemala who illegally married this 13-year-old girl. Juarez has since been charged and deported. After our stories aired, Senator Elizabeth Benaquisto filed legislation to change the legal age of marriage to 18, no exceptions.
Through the hard work of reporters like yourselves and advocates across the state, we've learned of many cases where young girls are forced into marriage, and that's just wrong.
And today the Senate voted 37-0 to pass this legislation, with Sherry Johnson looking on.
We should always look after our children.
The Tallahassee woman was raped at 8 and married at 11.
Her parents did the unthinkable. They forced her to marry the man who impregnated her as a child.
My passion for children, to not want them to have to experience the negative things and negative life that I had to experience.
Now a companion House bill has its final committee stop on Thursday. If approved, it will be ready for a vote by the full chamber, and this bill could become law by July. For the NBC2 Investigators tonight, I'm Rachel Polansky.